Finally getting back into the groove after quite a bit of a break. Now then, we shall continue. Episode 2. I just realized my mic is far away from me. Okay, there we go. Episode 2. Part 2. Ninth of January. SS Budia. First class cabin, passageway.
I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that.
I wish we managed to find some clues as to what that speckled band might be.
We did manage to investigate it all. And I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door.
He's clearly glaring at us, as if to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute.
What is it?
Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go?
Oh yes, he's completely disappeared.
When did he do that? He slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring that these were securely back on my wrists. I don't think there's anything new to investigate. Oops. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin.
Not our cabin, it's Kazuma-sama's.
Sorry?
Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin.
You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. Anyway, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga has managed to uncover any new clues.
Yes, we should probably find him and ask.
Ninth of January, SS Budia. First class, cabin number 1. It looks like they're still investigating in here.
Yes, on that subject, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga is unscathed.
What do you mean, unscathed?
Surely you haven't forgotten, have you, Naruhodo-san? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he'd lay his life on the line for you.
Oh, yes. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know. Is he here? Oh yeah. Oh my god. Oh, you're back. Inspector?
What happened to you? Your face is...
Please, don't worry about it. They're just scratches. Made by a bear, maybe. When I told the captain that I'd given you permission to investigate, he told me he'd pummel me with his fist, then toss me overboard. What? But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard. So it was nothing, really. Looks like he wasn't joking when he said he'd lay his life on the line if he had to.
Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know a little about the neighboring cabin.
Yes, so I understand.
Oh.
I bumped into a man claiming to be a great detective a little while ago. I think his name was something like Herlock Sholmes. I don't think he was German, though. Ah, that explains it. Shall we compare notes then? We can tell you what we found out. Yes, let's do it. What? Nikolina Pavlova? She's in the cabin next door? Oh, do you know who she is? Please, what self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know that graceful angel? Oops, I think I upset him there. Well, that tells us the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case at least. Oh? How? Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they?
Oops, no, definitely upset him.
Inspector, has your investigation in here proved fruitful?
If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed, ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping watch over here, trying not to take my eyes off the job.
Oh, I see.
Ah, there is one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you.
Oh? What?
Yes, do tell us, Inspector, please.
What is this new information you have, Inspector?
It's this. The Buria's medical officer has finished his examination of the body I managed to obtain in the report.
Oh, Kazuma's post-mortem report?
Kazuma-sama.
So, what was the cause of death?
Damage to the cervical vertebrae is what's written in the report.
His neck was broken?
Yes, it would seem so. There were no obvious wounds or other signs of injury, so at first I think they were considering poison. But it turns out they found no trace of poison in his system at all.
Well, what weapon was used then?
Nothing has been found as yet, but the fact that there are no signs of a wound suggests it may have been a blunt object, something that wouldn't leave a mark.
Oh, I see.
All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact of the neck could induce death. It is a possibility, and no obvious wound would be left.
Poor Kazuma.
I have a second copy of the report. If it might be useful, you're welcome to have it.
Really? Are you sure?
Yes, it's fine. I trust you. After all, if I didn't trust you, I'd never have agreed to you leaving this cabin in the first place, would I?
Ah.
Let's take a look at that, shall we?
Let's see, Victor Male Far Eastern, yeah, he's Japanese. Sometime between 1 AM and a little past 2 AM. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Victim's neck was almost certainly broken as a result of a strong blow to the area. No obvious external injuries or traces of poison. Okay.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes was here, was he?
Yes. He seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crapped about on the floor investigating.
Was he actually crawling on the floor?
But then he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored.
Did he say anything at all?
Actually, now that you mention it, yes. Just one thing, but he practically shouted it. It's shoe polish, was all he said.
Shoe polish? I wonder what he meant. It was when
he was over there, by the piece of broken glass, do you see?
Ah, perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark. Do you think?
Ah, yes, that must be it.
But how could Mr. Sholmes know that it's shoe polish?
That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea.
What is it, Susaru-san?
Well, Kazuma-sama was wearing leather shoes with a very tan hue.
Dark tan? A sort of dark brownish red then?
Yes, a little like the color of red wine, but darker. I often repaired them for him.
Oh, does this mean that this mark was made by the polish on Kazuma's shoes as they scuffed on the floor?
That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewmen's eyes are boring into the back of my head.
Yes, that might be for the best. Thank you.
Poor Inspector. You look exhausted.
Oh, no. Well, I feel terrible that I failed to protect Asogi-san. It was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You were his friends. The truth is, I seem to have a heavy head ever since I woke it this morning.
A heavy head? That's interesting. My head's still throbbing too. This is where Kazuma spent his final moments, writing his diary.
1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled fan is dangling from the ventilator grill.
Looking at his writing here on this page, it's almost as impossible to believe that he's gone.
Kazuma-sama left us a valuable clue in these words. I'm sure of it. We have to solve this mystery now, Hoto-san.
We will. So this ventilator joins to Miss Pavlova's cabin.
Yes, that's right.
And just a few minutes before he died, Kazuma saw something emerging from it. A speckled band, as he described it.
If only Miss Pavlova had been able to shed some light on it, but it seems she seemed as baffled as we are.
Yes, I wonder if she's telling us everything, though.
I'm not sure.
I know most people aboard would say the same about me, but there was something about that woman that didn't sit right with me. Oops. So it's clear that these letters were written with the ink that was somehow spilled onto the floor, and they spelled the Russian word for wardrobe.
It does seem to be an unambiguous pointer to you, Naruhodo-san, as you were sleeping in there.
But to be truly unambiguous, it should have spelled out my name, don't you think?
Well, either way, one fact remains. It's hard to imagine that Kazuma-sama would have written his last words, or word, in Russian.
Which begs the question of who did write it.
You, where did you go?
Oh, sorry, I just went to the next door cabin to investigate.
Why? Who gave you permission for this?
Well, Seaman Hosonaga did.
That new Japanese was it. Later I will roll him into a ball and throw him in the cold room.
He's gone back to guarding the door.
I hope Inspector Hosonaga doesn't find himself in too much trouble on our account.
He's really gone out of his way to help us, hasn't he? When we get back to Japan, we'll have to take him for a steak at La Carnival.
That could be very long. That could be a very long time from now, Naruhodo-san.
Oh. Okay. All the books provided for passengers occupying this cabin, neatly arranged on the shelf.
They were all over the place when you first looked around, if you remember.
Oh yes, and you tidied them up, didn't you?
You have to look after the ship's property. Unruly behavior in the cabins leads to damage.
But it really wasn't me who knocked them over.
Well, anyway, I feel much better now that they're neatly lined up. I can't relax when things aren't tidy.
These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Buria.
Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden.
So by bringing her pet on board, Miss Pavlova has broken the rules.
She called it her friend, didn't she?
Yes, although we don't know what form this friend takes as yet.
I'm almost certain that whatever it is inside that traveling case in her cabin.
A friend. There's more to this than it seems, I think.
January. SS Boria, first class, cabin, passageway.
Aha! Look, Naruto-san! Seaman strong enough is gone.
Strong enough?
The burly Russian sailor who's always crossing his arms and glaring at us.
Ugh, all these Russian names are impossible to remember.
Tra-la-la.
Did you hear that? It sounded like someone singing.
Tra-la-la-la. Lira-lira-lay.
I did
it! The great detective way! It's caroling. I know that lark-like voice.
Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us.
Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's get inside Miss Pavlova's cabin while we can and investigate.
Definitely. Before that stringy knot crewman comes back.
It's strong enough, not stringy knot.
Ninth of January, SS Bodia, first class, cabin number 2.
Miss Pavlova isn't back yet. Zasada-san. Oh. Where's she gone? Hey! What are you doing? Those are our private things.
There's not a moment to waste now, Naruto-san. We must investigate as quickly as we can.
I suppose you're right. For Kazuma's sake.
Not just for Kazuma-sama.
What do you mean?
It can't be long until we arrive at port in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in those handcuffs when we get there.
Really?
We must solve this case, Naruto-san, by ourselves if we have to.
Another Ace Attorney? Yeah. This is the Great Ace Attorney. Which is I guess, the most prequel of the series, I guess. It's the prequel, because it takes place in the past. Far into the past, because this is taking place during the time of Phoenix Wright's ancestor. Which is during the time where the Japanese and Great Britain have recently allied themselves together, yes.
Yes, we will.
Oh my! Miss Pavlova's case is open.
It's completely empty inside, but according to the great detective's great deduction, she was hiding her special friend in there.
Yes, a friend that she had to keep secret.
Because you're not allowed to bring animals on board the SS Buria. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there. And more to the point, where is it now?
Oops. I suppose every cabin has a waste paper basket.
Shall we have a little look and see what's been thrown away?
Naruto-san! It's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know?
Ugh, those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now.
However, these are special circumstances, I think.
Exactly, we have no choice. There's hardly anything in here at all.
Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. I wonder what this little saucer is doing on the floor.
Yes, it doesn't look like it's been dropped, more like it was put there deliberately.
Ah, do you think there could have been a leak in the roof just above here?
What? A leak?
Is this ship quite safe?
I'm sure that even if there's a little leak on the roof, it doesn't mean the whole ship is going to sink.
No, you're right. Of course you're right.
She's really trying to persuade herself, isn't she?
It would seem this teapot is empty.
So the natural conclusion is that the Russians are very thirsty people.
Or, because Miss Pavlova only came into this cabin last night, she hasn't had the chance to make any tea yet? I mean, it could be either.
It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I'd lay 1,001 to 1 on it.
You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruhodo-san?
There are just a few books on the desk. Nothing else by the looks of it.
Well, Miss Pavlova only ran away from the ballet last night. She's hardly occupied this cabin for any time at all.
That's true. I wonder what kind of books she likes to read.
Let me see. Yes, I see. It would seem that Miss Pavlova enjoys reading. Books written in Russian.
Thanks. I think I probably already knew that.
It's rude to ask too much of people, Naruhodo-san. Kindly remember that.
All the books have toppled over together. Look, every single one.
Do you think that's a god of the sea, perhaps? He's toppled too, though.
It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door, in Cosmo's cabin.
Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase?
I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from her ballet company?
Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage.
Not everything bad happens on the ship is because of me, you know.
Well, anyway, I'll set them straight again in here too. I like seeing things in disarray.
Investigate. Oh, no.
Naruhodo-san, are you there?
Sorry, I'm right here, yes. Why?
Oh, good. I thought you might have climbed into the wardrobe when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home.
Believe me, I don't have some strange compulsion to jump into every wardrobe I see, you know.
Well, anyway, I'm not sure anyone could fit inside this one. It's full of beautiful outfits. I suppose they're all stage costumes.
I was rather hoping we might find Miss Pavlova's friend hiding in there, but no such luck. So this ventilator connects to Cosmo's cabin next door.
Yes, although what a fool a shipbuilder must be to open a ventilator into another room.
Ah, maybe. It's so that there's a gas leak next door. The occupant of this cabin would notice and raise the alarm.
Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning.
That is a possibility. Anyway, last night, Kazuma wrote that he saw a speckled bang coming out of this ventilator. There's one of these next to the bed in Kazuma's cabin, too.
Yes, it's a bell cord. I can't resist.
Oh, and she rung it. She barely hesitated there, and gave it a good tug, too.
No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come.
We don't want them to. We're trying to investigate in secret. Ah, yes, they're displayed in this cabin too. Look, SS Booty has rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden.
I suppose Miss Pavlova realized that she needed to keep the contents of her case a secret after she read this. Her special friend, I mean.
I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. It's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine.
I just hope Seaman Stroganoff doesn't find it and throw it overboard.
Oh, yes, so do I.
Doesn't look like there's much else to look at. I think it's just this.
This cabin door has the same simple sort of bolted latch that our cabin door has. If the bolt's drawn across, there's no way anybody could enter the cabin from outside.
Yes, it's not a particularly heavy-duty bolt, is it? But still, it wouldn't slide across of its own accord, would it?
No, and the door is made of metal, so there's no chance of trickery using magnets to unbolt it from the outside.
And it seals up perfectly too, to stop any seawater coming in. So you couldn't use the method you told me of passing a thread through a crack around the closed door either.
I seem to know a lot of tricks for opening doors. I'm starting to think why they suspect me.
So far, not much. Oh, there's the detective.
Oh, it's Mr. Sholmes, look.
Wow, you never know where he's going to turn up next, do you?
He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself.
Tra-la-la-la-lee-la-lee-la-lay, I did the great detective way.
He's still singing. Do you think he hasn't noticed us?
Or he's simply in extremely high spirits.
Yes, there were times I'm sure you knew, when the yard bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was a doubt, it's lucky Herlock was about.
Excuse me?
I sold it all and I stood tall. I did it the great detective way.
Mr. Sholmes!
Ah! What is it? You want to fight? Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing, and I was just about to reach the climactic finish.
Sorry, I thought you were never gonna stop, so I figured now's a good time as any.
I very nearly dropped to the floor with one of my famous right hooks.
Alright, I get the picture. Now could you put those fists away?
Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you.
Ah, yes, that. I was immersed in the study of the ship's log, as penned by the stockily-built crewman who's usually on guard here.
Oh yes, the ship's log.
And did you find out anything useful from it?
Well, after 2 a.m. this morning, the majority of entries are blank.
Which means there is nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so...
You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it.
Sorry?
Your logic, my boy, is inverted.
Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
Observe the other pages, and all shall become clear. It would seem the same crewman oft stands sentry in this first-class passageway, and he has an almost religious practice of recording nothing to report every half hour.
Oh, he writes like that in every 30 minutes?
Nothing to report.
Precisely. Put simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that. And yet...
The ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report.
Do you mean?
Yes, there were circumstances afoot last night, which led to the seaman being absent from his post.
What kind of circumstances? What happened?
That remains a mystery for now, but we can be sure something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribbling, nothing to report in the log. Scribing, not scribbling. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. You must log the ship's log in your mental file.
Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective.
Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is, I see. What makes Sholmes brilliance. Oh, ouch.
What is it? Are you hurt?
Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning, for some reason, nothing more. Well, my friends, until our next encounter...
He's still singing to himself. I can hear it as he wanders off down the passageway. Is something wrong, Susato-san? You seem lost in thought.
It's just... well, I feel the same.
Sorry?
Ever since I woke this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing.
Oh, you too.
That door leads to the second class area.
It's locked. I can't open it.
No? Well, that's the reason. No one wants to let the murderer escape.
Gosh, she gave me a very stern look when she said that. Miss Pavlova's cabin.
This could be our chance.
What?
The burly sailor doesn't appear to be around at the moment. We could investigate every last inch of that cabin.
I'm not sure if we could go that far, but we could certainly do with looking around more. I'm sure we can learn something.
Ah! What's that?
Uh-oh. Shut down the engines immediately. Vessel sighted at quarter-mile forward. Full stop. Hard to starboard. All hands brace for impact.
What the?
I think we're about to crash into another ship.
What?
I can't stand.
Susato-san, hold on to me! Ugh! Susato-san, are you alright? Are you injured at all?
I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruhodo-san.
It looks like we avoided a collision.
I think.
Yes, the ship has come to a stop.
Oh my goodness. What about you, Naruhodo-san? Are you hurt?
No, I'm fine.
Hello? Is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance.
Oh, that sounds like...
Oh, that's
Inspector Ozanaga.
Is that you in there, Naruhodo-san? Unbolt the door, quickly!
What? The bolt?
Look at that.
The door is bolted. Did you do that, Susato-san?
No, I didn't touch it.
Well, that's strange. How did... And... look at all the books. They're just like they were before again.
Naruhodo-san, aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in?
I better tidy this place up first. A violent emergency stop has solved one mystery at least, in a very vivid way. But I knew that what awaited us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart.
To be continued.
Alright. Alright. 9th of January, SS Buria. Miss Pavlova's cabin.
Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Susato-san took a deep breath and gently slid back the bolt.
You! What are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters?
Ah, you both look unhurt. Good.
Yes, we're fine. Thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship.
Yes, it appears to have been a false report though.
Oh, how did that happen?
There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop.
Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere.
This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment.
Oh, I see.
Someone triggered the alarm? Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside?
Ah! You wicked intruder! Dressed in all black! You're the devil!
Sorry, me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil's a first.
You opened my traveling case! How could you?
What? No, we didn't touch it!
That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin.
Inspector!
Yes?
Arrest this man. I know he did it. He is a criminal. Is it not enough that he's killed a man?
Duh, and he is a stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe?
Ugh.
Take him away. He is a trespasser as well as everything else.
Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right. You are a devil.
Doesn't look good, does it?
There is a cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police.
Wait, a cell?
Please, Inspector Hosonaga, is there nothing you can do?
This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options.
This is terrible.
This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately! Oh my god. Hey, a little help here?
What the? What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes? Naturally, I was analyzing what weight over 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no.
Well, why were you hanging from that hook before then?
Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of the 20,000 rubles, naturally. I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall, so full of brag and bounce.
Ugh, I never know whether to take this man seriously or not.
Ah, you again. The great detective.
Ah, Inspector, I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently.
Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time.
What is to report? Speak.
An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yes, the case of the curious murder that took place last night here on this vessel, the steamship Buria, has been solved by me, naturally.
What?
Really? Yes, I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I'm about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case.
Are we doing another great deduction?
Huh, you have solved it? Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing student boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is a stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it.
I didn't do it.
The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim, because as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin.
Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories.
Duh, locked room, that's the point. That is point.
The room was locked.
Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. Unless somebody rang the emergency bell and then the ship stopped and the bolt, well, closed itself. And that's how it happened. Someone did walk in here with Kazuma.
You're quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all.
What?
Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door.
What other entrance? We never discovered one.
Why, it gapes open mouth as let
me try that again.
Why, it gapes open mouth at you even as we speak. The ventilator, man!
The ventilator?
You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole.
That is because your arms are as thick as tree trunks.
You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening. It's not possible.
Ah, but it is. At last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator.
Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill.
Precisely, my dear madam.
But what does this mean? What is this speckled band?
The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin.
Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing?
There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I'm about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cores. Behold!
What the? Oh.
Allow me to introduce you all to the band, the Speckled Band.
A snake?
Indubitably.
Mr. Sholmes, just one thing.
Pray, what troubles you?
Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say?
Yes, you're right. I think in this case you'd have to call it the Striped Band, wouldn't you?
You both see and observe with distinction, however. Do you not think that is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall? Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap?
How exactly?
I think perhaps it is time I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova?
I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that...
Oh, sorry, Russian accent.
I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me.
There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one. Last night, your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. And number two. That same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life.
No.
She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Sholmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head.
This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi.
It looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head.
I would advise as little movements as possible, Seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular.
Here we go. The Great Deduction. The game as afoot. Topic 1. Intruder's Identity.
Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that had stolen into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without a doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations of the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we give then, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No,
Don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this.
Oh, but it does. You have to answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing to conceal, can only be that snake's sloth skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin, no? I don't know what you're talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it had appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as the speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change each time it slows its skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India.
Conclusion. Our beloved speckled snake. Topic 2. How Mr. Sogi died. Conclusion. Something.
Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data which I have been apprised, it would appear that there is no visible sign of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there are remnants of evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be... Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost but not quite sure imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snakebite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There's no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was relentless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend. To train? Indeed, you would put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you'd summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared to not have been dispatched, you release the snake once more. Do you deny this snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Having slid it through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled fan that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible.
Conclusion. Death by a venomous snake's bite.
Alright, time to correct his shit.
That concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet.
Oh, I get it, Pavlov. Oh, I see. I think that her name's supposed to be a reference to Pavlov, because the suspected mystery was that she trained her pet snake. Yeah, that's funny. I mean, Pavlov didn't train a snake. Pavlov trained a dog, but yeah.
Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. A promise of food is the key to training any creature.
Incredible. You solved a mystery.
Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Herlock Sholmes has become such a household name.
My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand.
Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes?
But of course, what's on your mind?
It's just, about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me.
I welcome questions as to my method, and I will answer both loudly and proudly.
Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family.
You are well informed, madam.
And reptiles, don't drink milk.
Ah,
It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward.
no matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other trick to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds.
Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears.
Ah,
Yes, so I'm not sure it would be really possible to signal or wake a snake by whistling.
but madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute?
I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements.
Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears. These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless.
Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes.
There's one other thing.
You have more?
Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins.
Then they should try harder.
Please, don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help.
Hello, North Star.
What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this.
Debunked. He got debunked so hard.
I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo.
And thank you for the follow, North.
Oh no, you don't mean...
Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into great ones they ought to be.
I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try.
Just what was I waiting for? Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, right.
So, cast your eyes down to your wrist again.
What? How the hell does he do that? You've done it again.
Your handcuffs are gone.
Where did that go?
Fear not, I shall see that they're restored after our work is done.
I really wish you'd leave them off.
Now, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular.
Here we go.
Course correction.
Hold it, Mr. Sholmes.
Here we go. Topic 1. Okay, claim the following. His death has nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me. Deceive yourself. Yes. Yes, when you're in all those horrid events. Yep.
She does have a pained expression on her face.
Yes, that's true. She looks as though Cosmo-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind.
But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression then?
Let's take a moment and really look closely at Miss Pavlova.
Left ear. Oh, that's a claw scratch.
Present.
Yes!
Boom, baby.
Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain.
Indeed, and a simple observation reveals that wound is fresh.
Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night?
When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse.
And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So, we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Or portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel. Was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance.
Snakes don't have claws, so... Snakes do not have claws, so it's something else.
It seems like that scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they?
No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet which claws might grow.
Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What is the true identity of this friend of hers?
Why bro got a snake on his head? Well, we're going to find out. Just not right now, because, well, I guess we're not up to that point yet on why the fuck is there a snake on the ship. But I assume it's probably the sailor snake, because I don't know, it's doing like a love hug or something around his face.
We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer.
Can I drag the fucking... Oh, there's a picture of her cat. Ah. Yes. Oh.
You were looking out over this framed photographic print, weren't you, Miss Pavlova? But let's not be distracted by the print itself. Oh no. The frame itself is your...
No, not the frame itself. I was talking to the cat. Oh my god. Bro's too chill about it might be his pet. Yeah. It's the frame. Oh my god, bruh.
What precisely was your intention with that, Mr. Naruhodo?
Just following the natural progression of deduction. Sometimes the truth hurts.
But the truth is, you do not have a turn for observation or deduction. Did that hurt?
Yes, a lot.
Oh my god. Do I have to specifically oh my god. The fuck? Oh my god. Yeah, I know this. Shut the fuck up. What? Bruh. I'm talking about the picture that is the picture of her cat. Oh my god. Bro, let me scout around again into the picture. Yeah. No, not the photo. Oh my god. Can I not? What the fuck? Oh my god, how the fuck do I? Is there anything under the table? Anything around? What the fuck? Why can't I? What is happening? That's on the serpent. What? Why is it not pointing out the cat picture? What do you? Oh my god. What the fuck? Where do I go? What the fuck? Where am I supposed to point? He's like, oh, this photograph is... What? What the fuck? Where am I supposed to point? Okay. Bruh. What the hell? Photographic... No! Oh my... Oh. What? Oh. I have to examine it further. Bruh. You gotta be kidding me. Oh my god, you can easily tell from a distance that that's a fucking cat in the picture. Why do I need to examine it? Oh my god. Bruh, this is bullshit.
Ah, look at the photograph in this frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away.
She is exceptionally beautiful, isn't she?
Yes, that's true, but personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we better take a closer look at this.
Your cat.
Look at the little cat Miss Pavlova's cuddling here.
Oh, what a cute little kitten. I could vie with you, couldn't I, Naruhodo-san, for the blackest outfit?
A black kitten. And from the look of this picture, at least, Miss Pavlova seems very attached to it. Okay, yes! We present the kitten. Oh my god. Without a doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us.
Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear.
Oh no.
The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you?
Gah!
Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind.
Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably,
Nahu Holmes trying to act like he ain't dissed you a couple of seconds ago for picking the picture frame. Yeah. Also in this game, funnily enough, this game originally has this character called Sherlock Holmes, but due to copyright, they had to change the name to Herlock Sholmes. In the Japanese version of this game, he's called Sherlock Holmes, but in the localization, they had to change the name to avoid copyright. So in this game, he's called Herlock Sholmes. Which is the funny part.
this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night?
No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this.
Oh, but it does. You have one answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's closed skin.
It's clearly not snakeskin.
Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back.
If she just left it in her pocket, no one would have ever known.
Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Sholmes' specialty. He so cleverly forced her to reveal us something.
I thought deduction was his specialty. Or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too.
Anyway, I find it hard to believe that there's the skin of a snake.
In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back?
Oh, it's a cat toy.
Well, it is speckled and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy. A long piece of cloth of some sort. And it looks like a handle at one end.
I think it may be a cat's toy. This is sort of common in the West, apparently.
How's that a toy for cats?
Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only needed to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it.
That sounds positively adorable.
Yeah, I'm not making the same mistake in jumping the gun there. Okay.
Yes!
Yes, the thing you are trying but failing to conceal is, a cat's toy.
Precisely, and the true nature of this now infamous speckled band. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it.
But why? For what reason?
My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the Speckles cat toy to incite the creature to return.
Ah,
In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Dark. A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova.
It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Tarka, she's so naughty.
conclusion, our beloved kitten. Solved.
Now we figure out how our friend died. There we go.
Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data which I have been apprised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom.
Well, it's clearly not a venom, because it was the cat that invaded the room.
What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body.
That's right, but Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned.
Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now.
The post-mortem report.
Yes!
In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report.
Ah, yes! I knew it was one or the other.
His neck was...
Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal, and only a Goliath would be strong enough to survive that.
Semen strong enough isn't some immortal freak, you know.
The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime.
Oh no, could there be...
Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively.
Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something, or someone.
Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found though.
Presumably Darky didn't silently creep behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow.
I suppose. It's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident.
Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it.
But that's not the case, because if he fell and died instantly, how the fuck would he have written that Russian word? A word that the man doesn't even know how to write because he's fucking Japanese! He never studied Russian!
It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama though. He was a clumsy man.
Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that we could explain what happened?
Here's the polish. Bell.
It might be this. I don't think it'll be that, because there's no thing that can show it. Might be the marks on the floor.
Yes!
There we go, yeah. Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively.
This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish.
Shoe polish?
Indeed, positively identified by the little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results, the undeniable ingredients of shoe polish.
And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Asogi's lace leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped.
Please, no.
Oh, she tripped over the cat? Because that bell might have came from his collar. Might have come from his collar.
And by that dreadful turn of his fortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered in that instant. He lost his life.
No! I don't know. I don't know anything about this.
Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life?
Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case.
I don't believe it. Cosmo-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it.
I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened.
But
And if this part of Mr. Shulm's deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes.
where, I wonder?
Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere.
Let's take a look in here.
This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them.
As Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet.
Oh,
Oh? What's that?
It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before.
If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you.
bada bing, bada boom.
That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket.
Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact.
Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly.
Oh no!
So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? You're well acquainted with this glass, Bella, you're not?
I don't...
I don't know. In that hush Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes. The evidence linking to Miss Pavlova and this little glass bell would be...
Where's that photograph?
Yeah, because the cat was ringing the bell. Yes. Yep.
Yes!
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darka's collar, the very glass bell in question.
The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall.
And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka.
I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry.
Boom, baby! He tripped over a cat and died. He literally tripped over a cat and landed the wrong way and killed himself.
Deduction complete. Elementary.
Elementary.
Bro is Pretender Holla. Pro knee glasses. Yes, extra prescription. Yeah, man, it's very unfortunate. Yes, our ally, our good friend Kazuma Asogi, died by tripping over a cat and then falling onto the back of his neck and killing himself. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night.
It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands.
People do that. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments.
She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her.
And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it.
Yes, and I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me.
Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really.
So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping.
So at that point, you thought it safe to try and lure the kitten back again by dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin.
Pavlova, Darka always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return.
So the faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova, trying to retrieve her pet.
Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened.
Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then...
Oh.
I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent.
Kazuma was.
From the appearance of the brown marks on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Buria is a large vessel, but even she can pinch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Asogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards?
In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator.
Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen.
I Must have forgotten to lock my case, and now she's disappeared again.
Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am.
Well, he knows something about himself at least.
When I woke this morning, I heard a young man in the cabin next to mine had died, but I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that it would send me back.
Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake?
That's right. Where is it?
If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it? And where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board the ship?
Oh, I didn't say. Snake is my friend. His name is Piroshko.
What?
What?
That snake belongs to you?
He escaped from cage when the emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here.
Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin?
But animals are not permitted on board.
Huh, we are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long with that close friend without someone who understands?
Couldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better?
But my dear belly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake? Surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in?
No venom. Piroshko does not have venom. He is harmless, very long but very gentle. He is adorable, like Granny.
It's venomless?
Yes, now he is hungry, so he is in a bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile.
And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose?
Huh, like they say milk chickens? They milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are always in stupid stories. Piroshko eats mouses. Big, fat, round mouses.
Ah, oh, so is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for?
Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food?
Nothing says top of the food chain like that look in their eyes right now.
It refuses to drink milk, it can't hear a whistle, it can't climb a bell cord, and it's not even venomous! How the deuce did something so inept and staring at a starting role?
It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Piroshko has nothing to do with this incident.
So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death.
Man. He fucking fell.
Miss Pavlova, I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize, but please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But
What are you talking about, Miss Mikotova? What lies? What Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident.
I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo?
To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story. I'm sure of it. I can't quite put my finger on it.
I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter.
Oh?
I'm only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, you are simply a distraction.
A distraction?
I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable.
And he's put them back on me. Ugh, not again. When did you do that?
Especially as they're on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call.
You were Mr. Sholmes? You were Mr. Sholmes.
Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours, was he not?
Yes. Cosimo was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom even.
In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. About how that scene in your cabin really came to be. So, okay, so it wasn't an accident. Okay, I was about to say, because we still have another discrepancy, which was, well, another mystery point, which was the bolt on the door suddenly sliding itself closed when the ship moved. I felt like that's too much of a coincidence that we just so happened to stumble across that fact. Alright, I'll see what I can do.
Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo.
So then, shall we begin?
Yes.
What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in the cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? This is what we must establish in the first instance.
But we've already established it, haven't we?
Oh yeah, and there's also the writing on the floor. That says wardrobe in Russian. Clearly someone murdered him.
The man tripped over the kitten and had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident.
Wait, let's take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, doesn't it?
I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid.
Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Cosmo's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't have possibly been a mere accident.
Really?
Yeah, we kind of forgot about the writing on the floor.
Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident.
The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor.
That script, it's Russian, is it?
Oh, wait, that's script. It's Russian, isn't it?
Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe.
I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language. Japanese in this case.
But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast.
That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. He died instantly.
Sorry? What do you mean?
Exactly what I said before. There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death!
Ah!
Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't have possibly written anything. Because he was already dead. So wait, why did you kill him?
That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't have possibly been there. What if what Miss Pavlova told us was true?
What?
So, Susato-san has noticed it too then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words,
Another people. I guess it was this because the bell's there. Maybe. It's not that. It's not that.
let me look at this diary, I just need to double check.
This was no. I think another piece of evidence that can prove this was no accident. Let me double check the history. Yeah. Okay.
This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor.
But that's the glass bell the kitten had around its neck. We already know about all that. It was broken in half and the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic?
Unfortunately, there's a very big flaw. A fatal flaw.
What?
If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin?
Ah.
Yes. Remember that we found the other half of the glass bell that was in that wastepaper basket? Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no.
Both of these evidence clearly points to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Asoki died last night in this cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt.
Yeah. Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Asoki's.
Who said? Was it? I'm gonna say it was the Russian guy.
You're wasting time. Someone else was there. Duh, of course. We know this.
What are you talking about?
Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out.
Oh, yes.
And only the other person in the cabin when young student died was you.
It's true. I was in the cabin when it happened.
You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details.
But I don't know Russian. There's no way I would have left that message.
No, not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details.
Would you mind?
Forgive me, my dear fellow.
As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor, in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor, for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Asoki really died.
But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions.
Yes, well,
It was past 1 o'clock, in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single, small lamp suspended from the ceiling would have barely cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit had failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item.
You all suspect me, don't you?
seeming strong enough.
Nina is a woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on the ship, a member of the ship's band. You do not excuse ship's angel of being criminal.
Ah, so that's it.
You say that one young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth.
Well, this is almost interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure?
You are a great detective. You should know. Look truth in eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin. Not Nina, not everyone. Oh, you want to tell me that the killer can walk through locked doors? Yet, it's impossible.
He's right.
But wait, I read about this in detective stories. People often tie threads around the door latches so they can open and close them from the outside.
Thread? Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not bond doors.
Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel, with not a gap in sight. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used.
No, it was not. I thought so, too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so...
Sir, you have to believe it to me like that.
So Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside.
Not necessarily.
What?
I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see traces of the method I have in mind having been used before.
I don't believe it.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you?
A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the outside. One does spring to mind, yes.
Do you really know what Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, and so should you. Because we've seen it happen.
Indeed we have. So would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo?
Point out the telling
signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt from the outside.
The bell?
Yeah. One of them.
What do I point out exactly? Did we point this or did we point that? Method that was used to slide the camera bomb door from the outside.
Yes!
This is it. This shows how it was done.
It certainly shows how something was done, I concur. In fact, it's an excellent way to show how easy it is to jump to the wrong conclusion.
Oh.
But truly a dismal way to show how the bolt could be made to slide shut from the outside.
Did you really need to say truly dismal?
Surely it can't really be possible to make the bolt slide without touching it all, can it?
I'm sure that it is. Something on the back of my mind tells me so.
Do you really know what Mr. Sholmes means, then, Mr. No?
Yeah. Okay, so I think I might need to point out the hook.
Yes!
No, that's not it? Okay. What the hell do I point to this time? What the fuck? What do I point to then? From the outside? What the fuck do I point at then? The door?
Yes!
No. What do I point at then? Because I can't point to the alarm. Because it's outside. Oh my god, what the fuck do I... Where am I supposed to point? The fuck, where do I point? Can I move my screen at all? No, I can't. What the fuck is it?
from the outside.
What the hell am I supposed to point out then? Because we're not outside, how can I point out the bloody alarm? Where the okay, I have no idea. I'm just gonna look it up because, like, how am I supposed to point it out? Oh my god. Grade is attorney. Case 2 walkthrough. Bloody hell, man. Oh no, that's greatest no, not that one. Okay. Oh, the bookcase. Oh my god. Oh my god. Fucking. God damn it. Yes! Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things are on it have toppled over?
That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before.
Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, the violent jolt goes around the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over.
I believe... yes, it's what's known as the force of inertia, acting on the objects.
Is there nothing Susato-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book at least? Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door.
Ah,
It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had come to into this cabin not long before, and we hadn't bolted the door. But then...
Hello? Is there anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance.
Oh, that sounds like... Oh wait, no. Oh, I keep thinking... Oh no, I thought it was the detective.
Inspector Hosonaga. Oh yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across the and locked the door.
Yes, it's made of metal, but small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of inertia, if you want to call it that.
Are you trying to say that the last night, after Mr. Sogi was killed... the SS Buria made another emergency stop?
When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over.
Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I?
Then when we came to into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asoki's cabin.
Oh my.
Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova?
Are you out of your mind? You say Buria made the emergency stop?
It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying the culprit is actually someone from the engine room.
Oh, it's simple enough.
Huh?
Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm?
Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there? Telling you only to press the button in times of emergency.
On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity.
Wait, It was you?
When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings, and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As it indeed did a little earlier today.
Wait, he pushed the button just because he was curious. Okay, that was pretty funny.
Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who...
As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion.
He sounds almost proud of himself.
How dare you mess with ship? I report you the captain. You are in much trouble now.
Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have not now learned a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider...
Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop, or did it not?
You are idiots. Buria is a huge ship with many passengers. If we make an emergency stop, even in the middle of the night, there will be chaos everywhere.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea.
Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo?
Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night?
Seaman Stronganov, it's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right?
Duh, that is correct. Why?
In the ship's log here, this would be where you record the details of your duties.
What are you doing with that? That is mine.
Ah, you rather carelessly left it atop of the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later.
I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always.
The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you'll write the phrase, "nothing to report," even every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until the first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all.
Nothing recorded in the log.
That is... duh, because nothing happened.
But if nothing happened, you would have normally write, "nothing to report," wouldn't you?
Oh.
Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened here aboard the SS Buria. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact.
Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night?
Stop talking rubbish.
If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself.
Oh? Why?
Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed.
That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night.
Well, no, that's a good point.
What of the throbbing?
Sorry? What do you mean?
Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it.
Ah,
We were drugged. Oh yes, I have had a headache. I have had a headache. You're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today.
nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn.
Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected.
He's right. My head's been throbbing today too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that had happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why did I wake up when all of that was happening to me?
Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you?
Oh, well, yes. Sorry.
The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on?
Well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals.
So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it?
Yes, in fact, I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken.
Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all?
That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant?
My dear fellow, does that not strike you?
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken?
I do.
No, really? Is that really true?
The meal prepared for the passengers last night has been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific designed to induce a very deep slumber to those who consumed it.
A sleeping drug?
Do you
mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop?
Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea.
Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator.
What?
Mr. Sholmes. Well, Seaman? I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals for aiding and abetting a renegade.
Please, no more. I will tell everything. I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore.
These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe.
Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me.
We all agreed to help. Everyone together. She threw away everything. Her fame in the ballet, Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel.
I don't believe it.
You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night.
Yes, I remember now. I didn't know I was chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point.
Duh. We could not make all drug. How do you say? Dissolve?
Ugh, talk about heavy seasoning.
At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was held by comrade on shore with small fishing boat.
While all the passengers on the SS Buria slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion in their evening meals had contained.
So, if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who just like chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door.
But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and that wouldn't have been a complete chaos. It would have been a complete chaos.
Oh, I wouldn't say so.
What?
Ah, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins, after which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug.
Quite, and accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would have habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway, so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning.
You have talked too long and we have talked long time and said many things. What is point?
The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that will reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But... I don't know about any of this. I'm just a little girl.
You would like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen to long boring stories we don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only on what we see with our eyes.
A laudable trait.
What?
I am quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo,
Oh, yes?
do you hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt in the wind?
What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me.
Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No. You must hear it with your eyes, for observation is the basis of all deduction.
What are you talking about?
I believe the time has come for one final logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth.
Here we go. And I like these segments.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, your existence, if you please.
With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes?
With our observation, my dear fellow. Just as I said, one of these two prevaricators.
Observation?
If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we noticed that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Soi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two were there when it happened.
Precisely! You are delightfully quick to grasp my meaning.
Alright, I'll see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Kazuma died.
Oh. Ink stain.
Yes!
Sorry, I just had to look up your ass for a second.
Seaman Stroganoff, you seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there.
Yes, I don't know where the dirt comes from.
So nothing in particular comes to mind about this stain?
What are you trying to say?
It would appear that the significance of this stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain.
It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform.
And I think what made it is clear.
Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it.
My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves what stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is...
I just need to double check. Yeah, it's the ink.
Yes!
Yes, it's this photograph, and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform.
Ink?
A rather unusual color of ink, purple.
Ugh.
Ah, the penny drops. At last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And this stain on your back, on the back of your uniform, is the ink of the exact same color. Exactly the same color. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means you must have been present at the cabin moments immediately after the ink was spilled.
Alright, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in dead student cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I pressed the button to make Puria do emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. I did everything so no one will suspect our angel.
Beef, please.
Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty, patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was white like sheet.
Beef, please, you must help me.
I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw student boy on floor. What happened here?
Please, don't tell anyone. My little one, my little furry friend.
Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you.
The kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Sogi's cabin. Then he tripped over and broke his neck when he fell to the floor.
Yes, that's right.
So after the incident when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers?
Only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor.
She said that she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? The door was not locked, so she opened to look and you already know what happened after.
There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind.
What?
When you went to Mr. Sogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why?
I already told you. When Nina opened the student's cabin and looked inside,
I was asking Miss Pavlova.
Well, Miss Pavlova,
Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you.
so is it finally it now? Is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Cosmo's death at last?
Ha! Something very nearly slipped my mind.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes?
This photograph. Yes, I took it myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck, therefore the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to me somewhat unnatural.
what do you mean, unnatural?
What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, well. If Cosmo tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of luck broke his neck, which part of this photograph print seems unnatural?
I guess the back of his neck? Because why? Because if he fell forward, then how would he have hit the back of his neck?
Yes!
It must be here, surely.
Allow me to offer you a piece of advice regarding the pursuit of detection, my dear fellow. When noting a crucial point, it can be helpful to keep your eyes open.
They were open.
And it can be equally helpful to use them.
Sorry, I'll try that.
I think it's plain what Mr. Sholmes means by unnatural, isn't it? The word written in a foreign language underneath his fingertip. Surely.
Oh, right. Of course.
That particularly crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. No, I mean to identify another point. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. Would you land us, as the victim has, what of your hands? You look like the sort of fellow who stumbles with some regularity. This should be an easy task.
Why do I? I'm just gonna save, just in case.
Yes!
This word in Russian clearly wasn't written by Kazuma, so if you're looking for something unnatural, that's the obvious point.
Very true. It is certainly peculiar, but it's not what I meant by unnatural, I'm afraid. That particular crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. I mean to identify another point.
Oh, I see.
Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. In my opinion, if you landed as the victim appears to have done here, it would be most unnatural. I'm sure you'll reach the same conclusion.
How thoughtful you are, Mr. Sholmes.
Thank you for your gentle guidance.
Where the fuck do I? Well, I tried pointing to the back of his neck and it didn't point out anything, so back to the walkthrough then, because I don't know. Okay, what do I point out? Left hand, the fist. The fist? The fuck? Okay.
Yes!
Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then his fist doesn't seem quite right.
The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say, as though he were gripping something.
What do you mean?
Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago.
You did?
And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow?
Mr. Sholmes,
Show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madam. Why would I keep you in suspense? This is what I found.
oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle.
Yes, you're right. A crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us?
It tells us nothing.
I'm not so sure. The crescent moon looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Yeah, because I saw an earring on Pavlova.
Observation, Mr. Naruhodo. That is the key.
What?
The truth is now tantalizingly close.
How did that crescent moon come to be in Cosmo's hand, clenched fist?
This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe. Find the answer with your own eyes. she has such petite ears upon her beautiful hair, like little pink shells.
Oh, what's that? There's something attached to her ear.
Ah, I expect that's what's called an earring. It's a little piece of jewelry.
An earring, is it? It really is tiny.
As part of it is missing, maybe it broke off. So now all that's left is the clasp part that attaches to the ear.
If that's the case, she doesn't appear to have noticed that it's broken.
Yes!
Miss Pavlova, I noticed that on your ear. Even though you have a metal earring, the decorative part seems to be missing. The little link holding it on must have broken, I suppose.
What?
But looking at your other ear, I noticed a crescent moon.
Ah,
I don't believe it.
Now, the missing crescent moon was found at the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there is only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Sogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear, perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night, in Mr. Sogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. But then the question is, why did Mr. Sogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments?
Oh no.
Angel?
No one can protect you now. Please, Mr. Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma?
Hey!
I think, oh no, hit.
When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in his cabin and I could relax after this horrible long day. Tarka, wait! I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy, but when nothing worked, Takara would not come back.
What? I think that's Kazuma's voice? I'm guessing Kazuma knew that the inspector was looking out for him.
What are you doing out? What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine.
The young man from your country, he was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darga, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, and I was going to leave the man's cabin.
Just a moment, sorry, but...
Oh, yes?
I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah, of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina.
Huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina?
Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment.
I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice.
I see. So you've run away.
Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone.
Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here.
Oh, he was a good. Oh.
He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain.
Oh no, it was a misunderstanding. He was gonna get Naruhodo from the closet.
Why did I think I could trust him?
Oh, and that's when she thought to kill him. What did she hit him with?
Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait, I shot it. And then Darker jumped out of my arms and down the young man's feet. And as he turned around to look at me,
Oh, she pushed him.
I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me.
And that's when you went to fetch help from Seaman Strongenough, who was on duty out in the passageway.
I heard Nina cry out and a thud on the floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like leaf. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Beef. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go."
So you decided to help, and that's when you arranged things in Cosmo's cabin to make it look like I did it, so that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door.
Yes. I went into cabin and I looked around to make sure there was nothing to show. Nina was there. And then I found a stowaway in the wardrobe, still sleeping.
Right, that's when he found me.
So you worked out a plan to lay the blame on the stowaway.
I closed the wardrobe doors and put back strange paper sign.
Luckily for me, that's the only reason Susato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent.
I dragged young man's body to a good place and used ink that was spilling to write on floor. I wrote blah blah blah, just so that person who found them would look. Oop, I pushed that on accident.
And tell me, what of the glass bell?
It was by my feet, so I picked it up.
I see.
But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half.
Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished Tom.
By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway.
Yes.
Accordingly, the SS Burya did indeed come into an emergency stop at a little after 2 a.m., thus enticing the bolt of the cabin door to slide shut, creating a locked room mystery.
There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova.
What?
Well, you said that you told Kazuma about the fact that you'd run away from your homeland, and it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right?
Yes.
But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem?
It was what he said first that made me scared.
What he said first?
What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine.
He said an inspector was his friend.
Ah, yes, meaning me, who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard.
I thought that the police knew about me. They would arrest me. So before you could pull the bell cord, May I stop you for a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Sogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but... he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done.
No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There is one more deduction to make.
What? Another deduction?
Yes, what action was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was directed?
To the wardrobe. He was gonna talk to Naruhodo.
First, consider the victim's location within his cabin.
That's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still, that cabin has been my home for this entire voyage.
So this is how the cabin looked last night, when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama.
Yes, it's exactly how it was.
Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes. If there's one thing I've learned today, it's still that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truths. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out, even a little bit when you're following the gaze where it lands. So when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at?
The wardrobe.
The wardrobe. My wardrobe. I was in there at the time, of course, sleeping soundly. Too soundly. If only I hadn't eaten that chicken that was laced with that sleeping drug. If only he woken me up. Then maybe this tragedy would never have happened.
Take that!
Considering everything that had happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Cosmo was going to ring the bell cord.
Yes, however, what is directly beside the bell cord? The wardrobe.
The wardrobe?
And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly.
Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night?
Give me a moment, I could use another opinion here.
Another opinion?
Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intended to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if between them they might be able to help in some way, no doubt.
Oh, no! Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you hadn't made sure of what Mr. Asogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had.
Miss Pavlova, I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did, and that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that.
I'm sorry. Really, I'm so sorry. What have I done?
And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding this tragic incident on the SS Buria was finally laid to rest.
9th of January, 7:14 p.m. SS Budia, first class cabin passageway.
What will happen to Miss Pavlova now then?
Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard.
What about the fact she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her?
Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out.
Mr. Sholmes can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia then?
No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life.
I see.
I'm sorry.
Seaman strong enough?
I wanted to help out our angel, no matter what, but I didn't think about you, about how you lost good friend. I will go, Nina. I will give myself to British police.
That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Cosmo's death feels like such a waste, but... well, do what you can do for Miss Pavlova, won't you?
Duh.
Well, I'm afraid you'll need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan.
Yes. I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different.
So, you should get back to your cabin now.
It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun then. To think that only days ago, Cosmo and I were laughing together about how we tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Susato-san?
Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned.
Oh, well, I hadn't been back long. Inspector Hosonaga just told me I should pack. You know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that.
I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over. Just like that.
Susato-san.
He has such grand ideas for this visit to Great Britain. So many dreams. And now they've been cruelly taken away. Just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth. That it was just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much.
Yes, I know.
I wish there was something I could say.
Inspector,
My duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain, but I failed, and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I let everyone down, and I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder.
Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now, at least. Huh?
Surprise, Mr. Naruhodo!
What is the meaning of this?
Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting.
Sorry?
So I decided to restore them. For old time's sake, shall we say. You are a stowaway, after all.
He thinks this is funny?
Mr. Sholmes. We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences? The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor.
I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened.
What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway.
The terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be 1 lawyer and 1 assistant.
Was to be?
In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead.
Oh no. I don't care for me, but... Poor Susato-san.
My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is 1 lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely.
But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer.
Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be little of value in Great Britain, I'm afraid.
Oh, but...
But anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer.
Yes.
Mr. Sato?
Yes?
Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it?
But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law?
No, I'm not, but...
I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work.
But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, I have a month in which to study, to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain.
Mr. Naruhodo.
That's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all of that in just 40 days?
There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector, every single day. Will you let me try? And if by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate.
But why put yourself in such a difficult position?
For Kazuma. He said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Mr. Sato?
I think it's a wonderful idea.
Thank you.
So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say?
Are you serious?
1 lawyer and 1 assistant. The numbers are indisputable.
No, 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 it's madness.
Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree?
Fascinating.
Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest, give us fascination.
Speak for yourself.
Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character. And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. From early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage.
Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice.
Inspector,
After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here.
Oh, thank you, Inspector.
If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next, and how to best make my report.
Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo?
yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer.
I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all.
Thank you.
And, Mr. Naruhodo, I'd like you to take charge of this.
What? Me? Are you sure?
I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Kurama. It's a great sword that's been in the Asogi clan for generations.
Very well, I accept. I'll treasure it always. So then, Mr. Sato, it seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet.
It would be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fill every spare moment with study.
Yes, that's exactly what I need.
But before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you too.
Goodness, what is it?
Please throw me to the ground. 3 times.
What?
I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get in the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior.
No, you were in shock. You were just found out about me stowing away. You just found about me stowing away. You're
Oh no! I wanted you to make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you. And not just once, but 5 times!
That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it?
Please, you must. Just take a hold of me and throw me. Do it! Don't even think about it.
No. I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life.
Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes.
I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed.
Where did he see that?
I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling?
Oh, well, in a way, it's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujutsu technique.
Apparently it's called the Susanoo Takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me.
How beguiling. I am a practitioner of combative arts myself. I am somewhat of an accomplished boxer.
There he goes, dancing around again.
I wonder if you'd be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw.
Yes, I'd be honored.
Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam.
Oh, of course.
Wait, you're not gonna do it on me, are you?
Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo?
Sorry.
Hiya! Ooh!
As you can see, you throw from the abdomen.
Oh yes, arresting indeed. And that is what
You term the...
Susanoo takedown, is it?
Actually, no. That was a Susanoo squash.
In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Karuma. That's right.
Oh, that's right. It's a prized sword that has been passed down through the generations of the Asohi clan.
I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely.
A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me. I truly believe that.
So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling.
On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain, and I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me.
Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
An important thing he had to do. I still don't know what that was. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. End. And that's the completion of the second chase. And that'll be the end of the stream. So yeah, next stream, which is tomorrow, will be the return of the Undivide alternative roleplay. Because it's been on a few weeks break because of the holidays, obviously. So yeah, gonna be coming back to that. And we shall see whether or not, I don't know, more Lunar Light stuff will happen. I mean, that probably is, because we just come back from break, so probably. Anyway, let's see, we'll see if I'm gonna be able to attend the session on time. So yeah, for now, farewell.